imagine being in the house at the time. What was that on the roof?
Yeah.
A car. Those are our main stories this morning. The time, 11 minutes past 7. Carol's going to be here in a few moments to tell us if we need to batten down the hatches again today. Stay with us for that if you can.
First, though, we're going to have a look again at the Stephen Lawrence murder investigation. After jailing Gary Dobson and David Norris for the racist murder of Stephen Lawrence, the judge called on the police to hunt down the remaining killers, and the Metropolitan Police Commissioner himself said they should not rest easy in their beds.
But this morning it's emerged that the team of detectives working on the case may be disbanded. That at least is the fear of some of the detectives on the team. Here with us now is Roger Graef, a criminologist and a member of the Metropolitan Police Independent Advisory Group on Race. Hello, Roger.
Good morning.
Where does the investigation stand now, then?
Well, it's a very good question. I mean, this is the kind of moment which I'm afraid separates fact from fiction. And in the fictional version, of course, what Bernard Hogan-Howe said was right. They shouldn't sleep easy in their beds. New evidence comes forward and they get nailed. That's what we hope would happen. That's what would happen in fiction. In fact, they've been looking for 18 years for evidence against the others. It's taken that long to find the evidence against the two they did nail.
And they're thought to be about 3 or 4 who were in the gang that killed Stephen Lawrence.
That's right. And moreover, the thing that, again, separates fact from fiction is that most evidence comes forward from the public. It isn't from detective work. In this case was different because they'd ignored, originally, the tip-off about who did it, which came in a couple of days after the murder. It took 2 weeks to do the arrest, by which time the evidence had gone. It's taken 18 years to find the actual evidence where detectives are needed. You can only assume that that has failed to get the others. And now what I think is necessary is for some other people to come forward and break the code of silence, which is very strong in that kind of community.
Because at the moment these detectives working on this squad are only investigating that particular case, and I suppose the view might be taken, well, if there are no new lines of inquiry, live lines of inquiry, then perhaps they should be better placed doing something else.
Well, what I'm saying is, in a way, unlike fiction, again, the detectives are not necessarily the best people to get this kind of intelligence because everybody knows who they are and what they're doing if that's what they're specializing. The forgotten local intelligence officers, the people who are just on the ground, the neighborhood policing, if they build up enough relationships, they're the ones with the sources of intelligence that are not rated by fiction, but are actually the source of quite a number of detections.
Still confused about the status of this investigation. So we've got London's Metropolitan Police Commissioner saying that the others who are involved in the gang should not rest easily in their beds, and yet senior detectives on the Met saying the investigation is dormant. So,
well, in a way,
what is happening?
That's what I'm really talking about. Is there is the kind of meta message, if you like, about we're good at detection, we're good at catching people, and in this case particularly because the whole country is watching, the whole world is watching, we want those other guys to go down. But the question of producing evidence that works in court has already been shown by the fact that 2 of those characters who were in the frame have not been convicted,
so
even though they've been charged of other violent offences.
But we're open to messages.
Well, certainly. There's no question about that. But what I'm saying is that messages aren't enough. They've got to have evidence that will stand up in court, because several of them have been acquitted in court for violent affray on other, similar but not the same.
And the difficulty is, as long as the investigation is left open, there is no real way of saying that we can all, especially the Lawrence family, move forward entirely.
Indeed, but there are many, many cases, I'm afraid, including of racially aggravated murders that have been left that way because people they're too frightened to come to court. We did Murdered Blues, followed the Operation Trident for several years, and we saw a number of cases like that that actually would have succeeded but couldn't because of lack of evidence.
Roger, we're just getting some information that Scotland Yard have called the BBC after we've been talking about the suggestions that they might disband the Stephen Lawrence team. And they're saying it has no current intention of disbanding that unit. So we'll get more information on that in a moment. But they say,
well, resources are being cut. Detective squads are a kind of luxury. Murder squads are, particularly. They take a very long time. They're hugely resource intensive, and really there are other calls on their time, I'm afraid, much as we want this to succeed.
All right.
Roger, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time now, 16 minutes past 7.